my living room is done being decorated for Christmas. Well, the majority of the house is. The outside, we have a few more twinkle lights to put up, but then I think we'll call it good for the year. This is Thanksgiving week, and I have a lot of cooking to do, and I was at the grocery store and I found a really good deal on cranberries, naturally, because it's this time of year. So I made a massive vat right here of cranberry juice or cranberry sauce, and you can see like it bubbled up and it's super messy and sticky. So I like homemade cranberry sauce every year, but because I got such a good deal, I made a huge amount of it. So I'm going to have some in the refrigerator, of course, for this week for Thanksgiving, but I thought I would water bath some and put it on the shelf in the pantry. So I'm gonna go ahead and jar these up. I've let this cool overnight because I honestly like cool jarring, and basically that way I don't have to make my jars and the contents that I put in my jars the same temperature, so it's easier for me and safer for me to do it that way because I don't have a dishwasher or anything, so everything I have to do by hand. So by the time I'm done washing my jars, the first ones I washed are cooled down, you know what I mean? So it's just easier for me to do it that way. So I've washed my jars and my lids, and then I have some bands. I might have to find a few more bands, and I have some small ones and some narrow mouth and wide mouth. I have just a collection of different sizes of jars. I don't know how much I'm going to need for this process, but I just thought I would jar it up and chat with you guys. So my cranberry sauce recipe is, of course, cranberries, sugar, and instead of water I use orange juice. I do orange zest, and I also put dried cherries in there because who doesn't like dried cherries, right? So here it goes. I've never jarred up cranberry sauce before, but we're gonna go for it. Anyway, it's absolutely delicious. Now, cranberry sauce is meant to be chilled when served, so it could be a little bit on the runny side. I'm not sure, because normally when I make cranberry sauce, I put it in the refrigerator and I serve it chilled at Thanksgiving, and it's nice and thick. This obviously isn't chilled, so it's not as thick, but I didn't want to add anything more to it, and I think it's the sugar that makes it thicken, and it's plenty sweet, so I didn't feel like adding more sugar would have been a good idea. Isn't it beautiful though? So I thought I would get some stuff going this week for Thanksgiving. I'm going to be making some pies. I know I'm going to make some pumpkin pie, and I was thinking about like a peach cobbler type of a thing, but I'm not sure. There's not very many of us. So you might have noticed that we have 8 stockings hanging on our stair banister. Our house is getting ready to double in size. Not in the size of the house, but in the people living in the house. Right now, of course, it's Edward, my husband, myself, our daughter Paisley, and my father-in-law. And in January, the beginning of January, my daughter, her husband, and 2 kids, our grandkids, are moving to Maine from Washington State, and they're going to be living with us for a while, and we're going to do life together, and we're going to figure out how to live a generous life together as a family. We're really excited to partner with them and hopefully be an encouragement. And just our hearts are excited and filled with joy. It's really actually a very beautiful story. When Amber, my oldest daughter, was 14 years old, she wanted to go live with her biological father, whom she really hadn't met before. I mean, she'd seen him when she was like 5 years old, but outside of that, there was no contact. I had full custody. He was deemed an unfit father by the state of Washington. But my daughter, being 14, struggled in her relationship with my husband and just struggled in the teenage years pretty profoundly. And she had a dad-size hole that she was looking to be filled, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't fill that void. So there's Maddie at the door. She's looking at me. So she wanted to go live there, and hold on a second. The windows were just cleaned. Anyway, so she wanted to go live with her dad, and she had met him on Facebook, and his wife, I don't know if they're still married, but anyhow, and she wanted to go live with him. At the time, we lived in Arizona. They were in Washington State. And I spent a lot of time in prayer and on my knees just really grieving because, one, I knew her heart needed something more than I could give her. I knew that going there would be painful for her, and so I was really struggling. But God promised me that if I let her go, He would bring her back to me. And so with tremendous fear and courage and trusting the Lord with everything, I let my daughter go, and I signed over giving her biological father parental rights. And at the age of 14 years old, my daughter left home and went to go live with her dad and her stepmom. There's lots of opinions, because he's not a good man. Now, people do change. I've changed. I've made a lot of mistakes, and people do change, and I imagine in some ways that he's changed for the better. But there was lots of criticism and judgment over my decision to let her go. And I don't regret that decision. However, I wish I could have spared her all the heartache, just like every good parent wants to spare their children heartache. Anyway, I let her go, and for several years, she went and did things her own way. She went to discover herself in the own way she knew how. She made decisions that were hard, and she was exposed to things that she'd never been exposed to. And she experienced some things in life that were, painful. And look at that, that was perfect. There's nothing left. One jar left, and it was perfect. That's amazing. Anyway, so she left, and she was gone for over a decade. And part of that, several years of that, she didn't even want to have a relationship with me. And during that time, she went through her struggles, but I went through my struggles as well. And Edward went through his, and some of that struggle brought me to my knees and releasing all my children, not just Amber, but Paisley and the children that I lost. And I lost a child before she left by the name of Jericho Emmanuel. His name is Jericho Emmanuel because God was with me when my walls fell down. So, and during that time, the Lord told me that my sons would come from afar, and I didn't understand what that even meant at the time because the relationship with our daughter was struggling so much, and I couldn't seem to carry a child and give birth successfully outside of the two girls that I did do successfully, and that was a very painful time and stuff. And so I released it though, and it was a time of learning about the character of God and His heart for me and my identity as a mom and a wife, and so I let her go often. Like I would reclaim her in my heart, and then I would re-release her. And then I eventually let go of the idea of what it would look like to have her return to me. Like if it was going to be in my lifetime, or if it was going to be while she was still a child, or if she was going to live with me, or if it was going to be in heaven, or how that would look. And I let that go. And I started to be more of a cheerleader of a mom. And instead of talking to her about, when we did talk, instead of talking to her about the things that maybe weren't sitting quite right or critical in my heart, I started talking to her the way that the Lord talks to me. When in my struggling and in my pain, He never once talks to me about my symptoms, this poor behaviors that I have, but instead reassuring me that He's with me and that He loves me and that He cares for me. So I started doing that, and it not only changed our relationship, but it changed my heart and how I parent and how I talk to people in general. So instead of holding God to the promise that He gave me, I let that promise go, and I just started focusing on where He was blessing and just relishing in any opportunity that I had in her life and in my grandchildren's lives. So anyway, long story short, because this is YouTube, we don't have all day. Many of you know last August she got married. She has 2 children, Julian and Ellie. Those are her grandkids, 4 and 6. Ellie is 4, Julian is 6. And she got married to a wonderful man named Troy. And Troy is a new believer, and so I'm just super excited about just his journey as a young man and a young father and a young husband, and the life that he's going to get to lead, being rooted in Christ, and finding his strength and his courage in Christ. I think that that's going to be profound. And then my daughter's walking with the Lord too, and so I'm just really, really encouraged. And then it turns out they want to come home, and here I am, preparing my house that's going to be overflowing for my sons that come from afar, my grandson and my son-in-law. And of course my daughter is coming home with her a crowning jewel, little Ellie. And I can't believe it. My heart is so overwhelmed and so absolutely full. So as you go along, you're going to see things change quite a bit around here, and I don't know how long they're going to be living with us, but it doesn't really matter because this is where God is blessing, and I am more than willing, and so is Edward, and so is Paisley, to go along for the ride. So soon, very soon, you will get to meet my beautiful daughter, Amber, and my lovely grandchildren, Julian and Ellie, and then of course my amazing son-in-law, Troy. And they're just going to be here doing life with us. And we're going to just live generously together. And I'm just really excited about the direction that this is all taking. That being said, I probably should wipe off the top of my jars, put my lids on, and drop this in the water bath. But I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching our YouTube channel. I'm going to be working this week on making some pies, so maybe I'll bring you along with me while I make a couple pies, because I haven't done much cooking. Madeline, she's at the door chatting, probably with cats. Anyway, and now that we have this beautiful island, I'll be able to bring you along in some cooking, and I'm pretty excited about that. So anyway, thank you so much, and I can't wait for you guys to meet my beautiful family. So anyway, God bless. Talk to you later.